Hi guys, Taylor here. So I wanted to quickly discuss what we should be looking at when selecting a PHP hosting provider. So most web hosting companies are going to provide PHP, but there are a few factors and differences between web hosting companies that can make a difference when choosing a web hosting company. So the first thing is we need to look at what version of PHP is a web hosting company running. And right now the most recent version of PHP is 5.4, so we really want to find companies that have the most recent version of PHP at least available. And on this list, JustHost and Bluehost both have 5.4. The other companies only have up to 5.3. So depending on kind of your project or your website, you might actually need 5.4. So that's definitely a consideration and would make me automatically lean towards JustHost or Bluehost. The other thing to look at is PHP extensions. Now, a PHP extension is basically just additional functionality that you can install in PHP, and it kind of extends PHP's core. It kind of gives you some ability to do some other stuff with PHP. And JustHost, HostGator, and Bluehost all offer basically any PHP extension that's available out there, while iPage and GoDaddy don't offer these extensions, or at least not a simple way to install the extensions. So that also would make me lean towards one of the companies that offer PHP extensions. The last thing, and probably in my opinion the most important thing to look at, actually the second to last thing, is the php.ini. So what this is basically the PHP settings. Does your web hosting company give you control over PHP settings? And there's various settings that you're basically going to need to change almost in every situation. So a good example of that is the file upload size. If your website needs to allow, say, users to upload large files, PHP defaults to kind of small files, so it won't allow you to upload it unless you can change the php.ini settings. So basically all the companies I have listed here, except for GoDaddy, give you at least some control over PHP settings, allowing you to kind of change those to suit your needs. So I think that's really key. Without control over the php.ini settings, you're gonna inevitably run into a number of problems. And kind of the last thing, and I think this is important but perhaps a little bit less important, is just the speed of PHP on your web server. So I actually have done a study before on this to get this information, and that's where I got this information from. But iPage is actually known to run really quick, which is great. And you can just see the speeds here. So I think if you're running a content management system that runs off of PHP and it kind of is doing a lot in the background, example would be WordPress or Joomla, the speed of PHP is actually a factor because we can see some performance issues with loading a big website that runs on, say, WordPress. So that is a factor. Even Bluehost is one of the slower ones, runs at 1.55 seconds, so it's still not terrible, but compared to iPage, it is slower. So I would, as of now, I would make a recommendation to actually go with JustHost because their price is cheap and they basically offer the same features as Bluehost. So you could compare the two at any given time and see which one's cheaper and probably go with that one. If you're not super concerned with having the most recent version of PHP 5.4, if that's not an issue for you, then I would actually go with iPage. They're cheaper, they load faster, and I guess the big thing is just their price is more competitive. So I would recommend JustHost for most PHP development, but again, if you don't need 5.4 and you're not too concerned about having all the extensions, then iPage is a great option. Feel free to leave some comments down below if you have any questions or concerns or just anything at all. I appreciate it. Thanks.